I am mostly unembarrassed to admit that I have read the following 5 fantastic books. And the fact is, these books have measurably improved my life, and you may want to pick them up as well. Or just get the Kindle version, read them on iBooks, whatever. I read most of these books at night. Nobody saw me reading them, which is probably for the best. And we're going to move on to number 1. The first book on this list is called You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. I really got a lot out of this book. I enjoyed reading it. It's hilarious. That being said, I would not be caught dead in public reading a book called You Are a Badass. I'm just not going to do it. I could be immobilized, near death. I would somehow use my eyelid muscles to drag myself away from that book so nobody would see me, in my dying moments reading You Are a Badass. But that being said, it's a great book, and I think most people should read it. One of the main ideas in the book is that being you is a massive competitive advantage, and you actually have a monopoly on it as well, because no one anywhere will ever be as good at being you as you are. In the new economy, things like authenticity, relatability, and uniqueness are competitive advantages, and they're even monetizable skills. People will follow you and buy stuff from you because they like you, because they resonate with you in some way. So and it's because of your personality, because there is no one else like you that makes them feel the way that you do. And this book is just a great reminder of that, and not even just to get something in the marketplace, but just to be a lot happier, and to just come to see that what other people think of you has very little to do with you, and everything to do with themselves. And one of my favorite quotes from the book, I'll just read it to you. Again, it sounds stupid when I say it out loud, but reading it, it's great. And it goes something like this: "You are loved massively, ferociously, unconditionally. The universe is totally freaking out about how awesome you are. It's got you wrapped in a warm gorilla hug of adoration. It wants to give you everything you desire. It wants you to be happy. It wants you to see what it sees in you." So yeah, it's a little new agey. She may or may not say the word manifest a bunch of times, but it's definitely worth reading if you can get over the title, some of the the sort of flowery language, I guess. But it's a great book, even though you might not want to, be seen reading it in public. And actually, one of her other books, she's got it's like a badass series almost. So she's got You Are a Badass, and then You're a Badass at Making Money, You're a Badass Every Day, Badass Habits. And that one I've actually featured on the Stairway to Wisdom, which you can find down below in the description as well. I've got a full breakdown of that book, which I think is another excellent book that you may want to check out. And so moving on to number 2, we've got, oh God, we've got Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. I know, I said it out loud, and I'm going to put this on the internet. But what can I say? The king of cringe writes some excellent books, and this is one of them. I just wouldn't want to be seen reading it out in public. You're holding up a book that says Awaken the Giant Within. Again, I'm just not going to do it. That being said, it's a fantastic book. It taught me how to raise my standards in life, how to control my physiology and my mind, and a whole bunch of other stuff that I use every single day to create the kind of success that I want for myself. And one of the ideas that I think about quite often is something that he says in the book. He says, anytime you sincerely want to make a change, the first thing you must do is to raise your standards. And this has been key for me in just raising my standards in all areas of my life. He says that you get what you tolerate. And I found that to be true. If you tolerate some shitty, low-paying job, then that's exactly what you're going to get out of life. And if you tolerate being at a certain level of physique or health, vitality, if that's acceptable to you, you're not really going to have any sort of motivation to improve upon that. And when I started to raise my standards and sort of elevate what I was going to tolerate in my life, that's when a whole bunch of other things started to change. I could settle for the standards of driving some regulation everyday car, but no, my standard right now is driving a high performance sports car. I bought a Porsche a couple of weeks ago, and that's my new standard. And if I allow myself to drop below that, I'm letting myself down. And so Awaken the Giant Within is a fantastic reminder of how your standards sort of set the conditions of your life. And it's just a great book. Next up, we've got How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And here it's sort of hard to argue with 15 million people who have bought and loved this book. And I'm one of them. It's just this insanely helpful and valuable book, just packed with wonderful advice. And I guess, way back in 1936 or 37 or whatever, when this book came out, the title was probably fine. Reading it years ago taught me how to actually listen to people, and it really sort of hammered in how starved most people are for this kind of personal, individualized attention, that most people are just too much in a hurry and rushing around to really give other people their time. And people, they love talking about themselves. And if you talk to someone about themselves, they will talk to you for hours, and then they will come away from that conversation thinking that you are a great conversationalist. And that happened to Dale Carnegie, as he relates in the book. And it's got a whole bunch of other stuff in there that I've used again and again and again over the last 8 years, ever since I read it, that just made a measurable improvement on my life. So if you're thinking of not picking up this book because it's called How to Win Friends and Influence People, don't. Just pick it up anyways. It's such a great book. And one of the quotes that really stuck out for me here that I'm going to share with you is, you can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. I found that to be so incredibly true, and highly recommend this book. We're going to move on to book number 4. It's another book by Dale Carnegie, and I'm going to stop beating up on him after this, I swear. But man, someone has to help him with his book titles. This one is called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And again, it's a fantastic book that has helped me so much over the last few years. I read it pretty much on the heels of finishing How to Win Friends and Influence People, and again, it's just been one of those ones that I've gone back to. I don't think I've reread the book. I've only read it once, but I go back to my notes on that book and the ideas pretty much constantly, and it's done so much for me. If there's one thing that I can make readers understand, is that the earlier you read a fantastic, life-changing, life-altering book, the sooner that it can create those sort of compound effects over your entire life. If you read a book when you're 19, it will improve your life when you are 19, when you're 20, when you're 21, when you're 22. It makes every single subsequent year of your life better. Now, if you had waited until you were 25 to read that book, you would have gone through the years 19 to 25 without having the benefit of having read that spectacular book. So really understand that. It's not sort of within the subject of today's video, but it's another idea that I want to slip in there because it's really important to understand. So How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. In the book, he's got such wonderful ideas like nothing can bring you peace but yourself. And also, when we hate our enemies, we're giving them power over us. Power over our sleep, our appetites, our blood pressure, our health, and our happiness. And finally, the best possible way to prepare for tomorrow is to concentrate with all your intelligence, all your enthusiasm on doing today's work superbly today. That is the only possible way you can prepare for the future. And that brings us to number 5, which is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. You knew this book was coming. If there were a great book called World Domination for Go-Getters or something stupid like that, then that book would be number 5 on this list. But thankfully there isn't, so here we are. I don't care who knows it, I love this book. It got me fired up, and I think about it occasionally, even still, after reading it 8 years ago. Especially when I'm trying to decide where I want to go next and what sort of results that I want to create for myself. Dare I say manifest? No, I dare not. But it's a wonderful guide for ambitious people who want more out of life. And there's a reason why it's sold more than 15 million copies since 1937 as well. Except, you might want to just buy it on iBooks and read it on your e-reader, because Think and Grow Rich. I'm not walking around with a book like that where strangers can see it. I do want to share just a few lines from the book which may convince you to pick it up yourself, and so we'll start with this one. The starting point of all achievement is desire. Keep this constantly in mind. Weak desire brings weak results, just as a small fire makes a small amount of heat. And further, you are the master of your destiny. You can influence, direct, and control your own environment. You can make your life what you want it to be. You can definitely tell that this book was written in the 30s, but here's another quote that I like quite a bit. Set your mind on a definite goal and observe how quickly the world stands aside to let you pass. I found that to be absolutely true in my own life. And so there you have it, 5 excellent books that you would probably best keep on your nightstand rather than some cafe table where strangers can see you and judge you, and wouldn't that be awful? But that being said, I stand behind every single book on this list. I think they're all fantastic reads. They have so much to impart, and there's so much between their covers that can benefit you and can just accelerate your forward progress in life and just make you a lot happier and more calm and resilient and a better listener and happier. Did I mention happier? Everything just it's all in these books. So if you can get past the title and what people will think of you having read them, it might be worth your time. And on my website, you can find my full reading list. I've got more than 1,000 books that I've finished and taken notes on ever since 2014. You get that full list on my website, and I go a lot further on many of these books at the Stairway to Wisdom. I mentioned that earlier in the video here, but right now I've got more than 80 book breakdowns, like in-depth book summaries and analysis that respect your intelligence. That I take the best ideas from the best books and present them all in one place. And you can get a 1-month free trial for to the Stairway to Wisdom down below. While you're here, let me know in the comments about any fantastic books with embarrassing titles. And in this video right here, I speak with the author of a fantastic business book that has done so much for my financial success and my financial independence. It's probably an embarrassing title to be read in public, but it's a fantastic book nonetheless.
I don't waste time, no, I make time. All these people wanna hate, fine, I'ma make mine. While you sitting there complaining, I'll be training. While you sitting there just waiting, I'm creating. Yeah, sometimes I think that I'm unstoppable.